Have you ever stopped to think about how a huge company can totally rebuild its digital world and you don't even notice? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on an incredible engineering strategy called a continental shift. It's a way to make massive changes without risking a total meltdown. All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First up, we'll tackle the problem itself, the high-stakes rollout that keeps engineers up at night. Then, we'll look at the classic safety net they've been using for years. After that, we dive into the main event, architecting a full-on continental shift. And finally, we'll weigh the pros and cons, the big risk versus reward question. So let's get right into it, the high-stakes rollout. I want you to imagine you're the architect for a giant, buzzing skyscraper. Now, you don't need to just paint a few walls. You have to replace the entire foundation, and you have to do it while thousands of people are living and working inside, completely oblivious. That, right there, is the challenge of changing a live digital system. And that's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, you expect your banking app, your streaming service, all your work tools, you just expect them to work all the time, 24/7. So when the companies behind these things need to make a really deep, fundamental change, they can't just put up a sign that says, sorry, closed for renovations. The whole upgrade has to be invisible, it has to be seamless, and it has to be perfect. But how on earth do they do that? And the stakes? Oh, they are unbelievably high. That number you're looking at, $300,000. That's what it costs on average for just one single hour of downtime at a big company. You get a major deployment wrong, and the damage, both financially and to your reputation, can be absolutely devastating. Now, because of that incredible risk, engineers, of course, developed a playbook for how to do this safely. And that brings us to our second section, the stack-level safety net, or, the traditional way of doing things. The key idea here is something called a blue/green deployment, and it's actually pretty brilliant. You basically run two identical copies of your production environment. We'll call the live one that everyone's using blue, and we'll call the new idle version green. So you push all your new changes to green, you test the heck out of it, and only when you are 100% sure it's good to go, you flip a switch and all your users are instantly redirected to the new green environment. So if we go back to our skyscraper, this traditional blue/green method is kind of like renovating that building one single floor at a time. It's very careful, it's methodical, and it's contained to just one specific part of the structure. So here's how it works in the real world. You take one piece of your system, engineers call this a stack, and you clone it. Then you deploy your new code to that clone, test it all by itself, and then with one simple flip, you make it the new live version. It's a really solid, reliable process for smaller everyday changes. But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch. What if the change you're making isn't just to one floor? What if you're messing with the building's core plumbing or its electrical grid? You see, modern systems are so interconnected that a problem in one area can cascade and cause failures everywhere. The blast radius from a problem on one floor can still unexpectedly take down the entire building. For those really big foundational changes, it's just not safe enough. And this is exactly where we need a bigger idea, a much bolder strategy. So let's get to it, our third section, architecting a continental shift. This quote just perfectly captures the shift in thinking. Forget about renovating the old building at all. What if you could just build a brand new state-of-the-art skyscraper right next door, make it absolutely perfect, and then move everyone over in a single instant? This right here is the fundamental difference. Stack thinking is small scale. It asks, how do I update this one little piece of my system safely? But region thinking, that asks a much, much bigger question. How do I replace my entire system with a new one and do it seamlessly? We're talking about going from careful surgery to a full system transplant. Okay, so let's walk through this beast. Step one is building what we call the new continent. And no, this isn't just copying a few servers. This is a full-scale, perfect replica of your entire production world, every database, every single service, every last line of code, all built in a completely separate geographic region. This becomes your new green environment. Okay, now here's the magic. Because this new region is totally isolated from your live users, you have total freedom. You can be absolutely ruthless. You can run massive, full-scale tests. You can simulate crazy amounts of traffic. You can hunt down every last bug. And you can harden the system under real-world pressure, all with zero risk to your actual customers. And finally, the flip. Once you have complete and total confidence, you make one single change at the global traffic level. Think of it like the internet's master air traffic controller. With one command, it stops sending all the planes to the old airport and redirects every single one to the shiny new one. The old world just vanishes, and the new one takes its place completely seamlessly.
So now we've got our two blueprints, right? The careful floor-by-floor renovation and building a whole new skyscraper next door. This brings us to our final section, the verdict. Let's see how they really stack up when you put them head to head.
So let's really break down the trade-offs here. Look at risk reduction. The per-region approach is just exceptional. And for containing a potential disaster, the blast radius is pretty much zero. But all that safety comes at a serious price. You'll notice the complexity and cost rows are both very high. This is not something you do on a whim. The traditional per-stack method, that's your reliable workhorse, best for those smaller incremental updates.
So what's the bottom line? Here's the crucial point. A regional, continental ship deployment is the ultimate safety net. Yeah, it's absolute overkill for fixing a typo on your website, but for those massive bet-the-company changes, I'm talking about migrating to a whole new cloud provider or a complete architectural rewrite, it gives you a level of confidence that literally nothing else can match.
And all of this leaves us with one last kind of provocative question to chew on. As our digital world gets more and more connected, more complex, will this massive, super resource-intensive approach actually become the new normal for any serious upgrade? Are we headed for a future where every big software update literally requires building its own new continent? It's a pretty fascinating thought about where engineering is headed on a truly global scale.